Talkopolis, the social media TV network for your city.
Hey guys, welcome back. Did you miss us? Brad Hopkins, Maurice Patton. We are Players Prep, and we're at one of our phenomenal sponsors, Music City Customs. This is where you go to get all the accessories put on your car. When you want a cool looking car, you got to stop here first in Cool Springs. We got a great game to talk about today. McGavock, Overton, round 2. Just 2 weeks ago, these two played each other, right?
Exactly. McGavock got him. I'm sorry, Overton won that game. McGavock had come into it pretty hot. Overton's been hotter here down the stretch. I think they've won maybe 5 in a row, the last 4, last 5, something like that. But they've really come into the playoffs on a roll, and they've got McGavock again, who finished up 8-2. Big one.
Absolutely. And you know what? Rather than hear it from he and I, we're going to hear it straight from the horse's mouth. We're going to catch up to Jay Gore from McGavock High School. We're also going to catch up with Steve Williams from Overton. We'll get a conversation with both those guys, because if it's a great game, we've got to hear it from the horse's mouth. Welcome back. Our journey begins right here at McGavock, and we're talking with the head coach of the Raiders, Jay Gore himself. Man, you got a pretty big ball game coming up, but November football, what does that mean to your team? November football, playoff atmosphere. Tell us about it.
Well, I mean, for most teams, that's what you play for. You know, we have not had a huge November history here at McGavock, and so our kids are not fully engulfed in that whole idea, but they know you start in the winter, you start lifting, you go through spring practice, you go through summer, and the idea is we want to be playing in November. And you know, as we build this thing and go on, and the old saying is, you have a great year if you're playing Thanksgiving weekend, and that's what we want to do. We want to be playing as far down the line as we can, and so that's what you play for.
Jay, kind of take us through this season. You guys got off to a great start, finished up 8-2, kind of stubbed your toe against Overton a couple of weeks ago, but just the season that you guys had, and you talk about not a whole lot of November history with this program. You've got a team this year that can make a little, I would think.
We hope so. We had 4 great games, Tullahoma and Franklin right off the bat, Rossview with big wins. Franklin was a great win for our program to step out of the county and win. And then we go against Hillsboro. We laid the ball on the ground too many times, too many turnovers, and just dropped a couple of passes, did some things wrong, lost that one. We come back and we win 3 more. Play well in those games. And then Overton, 2 weeks ago, we just didn't play a great game. I think our kids are capable of playing better. Not to take anything away from Overton. I mean, Ugo is a D1 signee for a reason. The Fuquay kid, they've got 2 or 3 linemen that are very good. The quarterback does a good job. Kim Lee does a good job on defense. I mean, top to bottom, they're a good football team. And they came out and played well. And we, like you said, we kind of stubbed our toe a little bit. And but, you know, I was worried about our kids the last week when we come back in against Cane Ridge. I wasn't sure where our head was.
Right.
You couldn't tell it. I mean, when they flipped the whistle and said, "Let's go," shoot, it was all us, and so I'm pleased with that.
Yeah, well, Coach Gore, take us back into this week's preparation. Obviously, when you're facing a team that has given you a loss, especially when you've had such a good year, what's the focus like? Is it about the playoffs, playing in November like you talked about, or is it about getting that one back that you let get away?
You know, that's tough. It is about if you play poorly, and we feel like we did, it's about regaining some of that pride. Whatever the scoreboard says at the end, at least we want to put our best foot out there, and we want to walk off the field when it's over, and it will be over at some point in time. We want to be able to walk off the field and say we did our best.
Right.
And so that's what it's more about that, but that goes hand in hand with being able to play late in November. You know, if you do those things, we think every week, we tell our kids every week, doesn't matter who's on the other side over there, they're just next. That's all we look at.
There it is.
And it's all about us. So we've got to do our things. We've got to do our kind of football. We've got to play our fundamentally sound game. And we think if we do that, at the end of the game, we'll deal with it.
There you go.
Coach, you talked a little bit about your skill guys in particular, and DeMontez Carlton is where it all starts for you all on offense. Talk about the job he's done this year.
Done a great job for us. You know, he's got feet. I mean, he can take off and get a lot of yards running. He's got a good, strong arm. Took him up to Murray this summer. He was throwing the ball 54, 57, 60 yards in the air. I mean, he's got a good, strong arm. He's just done a lot of things for us. He has 1,000 yards passing and about 1,450 yards rushing. And you know, when he reads the option, it's tough to stop. And then when you throw the third option in there, he has the ability to throw the ball as well. He's tough.
Any other kids you want to tell us about for your program?
Well, Chris, we've got Chris Claybrooks is probably our star.
Sure.
We put him at tailback, we put him at slot, we move him a lot of places. We've got 3 linebackers that we feel extremely good about. Walter Holmes, Chase Whetstone, Matt Turner, all have done a great job for us. Our DBs are young, but they're doing a great job for us. Our offensive line, I try to throw them a bone every once in a while. We had about 2,400, I think over the year we had 2,470 yards rushing. So 247 yards a game average.
Nice.
And Ben McCullough, Damian Starks, Chris Dang, Chris Murphy, Teron Henderson, they've been the 5 that have kind of been the ones all the way through. Right. And they've done a great job. Damian is getting recruited by some people. And, that's where they're the heart and soul of our football team. And I think that's anybody. Your offensive line is got to be the one.
Smart man.
Yeah.
Smart man.
When you talk about Overton, obviously you talk about Ugo Amadi, you talk about Nick Fuqua. How do you go about slowing down all those skill guys, or what is your defensive approach to Overton?
Score a lot of points.
Easy as that, huh?
Try to score more points. I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can stop them. You said it. You try to slow them down. You try to put some people out there to make them do some things they're not used to doing. They're uncomfortable with. They're both great athletes. And the quarterback, when you stop the 2 of them, the quarterback can beat you. So they just do a great job. Steve does a great job with them over there. His coaching staff does a great job. And we're happy to have a chance to play, happy to be in the playoffs, and just extend it for our seniors. We keep telling them it's going to end sometime. You don't know when. So go out there and just have a great time together. You'll have something 5-10 years from now to talk about. 8-2, nobody can take that away from you. But let's go out and enjoy our playoffs.
8-2, Coach, and we are right here at McGavock High School, the site of a lot of winning. And they say, Coach, that if you have one more point than your opponent, when the bell tolls, you win the game. So
that's exactly right.
Good luck this week coming up against Overton.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hey, let me remind you guys about our great sponsorship. We are brought to you by Global Motorsport. Go to globalmotorsportinc.com. Find out all the 5 locations that they have over town. Search their inventory. If you're looking for a car, truck, SUV, you name it, they've got it. Stop in and see them today. Tell them that B-Hop and Mo sent you in there. Maurice, we got to head on downtown to the other side of town to get the other part of this perspective, right?
Got to get across town.
Absolutely. So anyway, hey, stick around. Players Prep. We'll be right back. Larry Thorne is joining us from Global Motorsport. Larry, now it starts with you. You've got the great inventory, the cool cars. Then they bring them over here. But the selection that you have on lots all over town. Do you handpick these cars yourself?
We do.
Okay.
We do. We have a couple of guys. That's what they do all day, every day. Narrow it down to just a few, and then at the end of the day, we wind up with about 250 or 300 to choose from.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Players Prep is the show. My name's Brad Hopkins. That, of course, is Maurice Patton. And as advertised, Coach Steve Williams of the Overton Bobcats is joining us. Part 2 of the discussion, McGavock, Overton. Now let's go back to August real quick, Coach. It seems like just yesterday that you guys were getting ready for camps and lifting weights and the sweat, and now you're here in November. Just talk about that journey so far.
Well, it did seem like it was just yesterday. There's a lot of transition, new coaching staff, and players getting used to us. And our goal back then was to make the playoffs, and we have reached that. We had some tough roads early. We lost some tough games, and had a lot of key injuries early. But right now, I think our kids have bounced back, and we're right where we want to be right now.
And you say that, Steve, you're right where you want to be. This is when you want to be playing your best ball, obviously, as you head into the playoffs and get ready to make a run. But what's been the difference for you guys here down the stretch?
I think health. We early on in the year we got beat up pretty good. Lost a lot of key linemen. They're all back now, and I think that's the biggest thing. And then it's confidence. We've started winning some ball games and started doing things the right way. And right now we're on a 4-game winning streak, and our kids are really believing what we're doing.
Talk about that a little bit more. You talked about the struggles that you had in the beginning of the season. You lose the first 2 ball games, you win one, then you lose another one. But look where we are now. You haven't lost a ball game since the beginning of October. Is that part of the confidence that you talked about, putting those games together, that's allowed you to keep winning like that?
Well, we had a tough early schedule. We knew that was going to be tough, and we were going to have to endure that. We talk about the season being a marathon and not a sprint. And that's what we've been preaching to our kids. And when we went down 1-4, our kids kept believing, kept coming to work, working hard. And we said, you know, it's the end of the journey, not the beginning of the journey. And I think we're playing what we need to be doing right now.
When you've got guys like Ugo Amadi, Kimley North, Nick Fuqua, who transfers in here from Cane Ridge, the skill guys that you guys have got, I think people expected more out of y'all early on. You feel like you've finally gotten maybe everybody on the same page offensively?
Yeah, and I think that goes to me. I was trying to figure out where they fit and all that, and I'll take responsibility for our slow start because we were trying to figure out how to get the ball to all these guys and do all this, and it was really difficult. Now I think we've kind of slowed down and we're into our pattern now we need to do. But yeah, I think we have a lot of weapons, and we found a quarterback in Julius King, a junior, who replaced Ugo. We were able to put Ugo out in space, and everybody knows what kind of an athlete he is, and we've been able to get him the ball a lot more also.
Coach Williams, is it hard to keep your kids focused when they know they're playing against a team that they've beaten recently, that they've beaten last year? I mean, is it hard to battle complacency when you're talking about, you know, getting ready for a ball club that they pretty much are familiar with?
No, this is a rivalry. McGavock and Overton goes way back, and our kids understand that. And it's playoff time, so the intensity of our practice yesterday was probably the best we've had.
Wow.
So our kids are when we talk playoffs, our kids are excited.
Talk about McGavock. It starts with the quarterback for them on the offensive side of the ball, the Carlton kid. Obviously, you guys did enough against them a couple weeks ago to get out with the win, but how do you go about stopping everything that he brings to the table?
It's really hard, and you know, they've got the Claybrooks kid that is a phenomenal athlete. They put him in space and do a lot of things. You know, we just try to contain him, and that's a hard thing to do. They're going to get some big plays like they did against us, but we're going to try to eliminate the big plays, and that's all we can do. But they, great coach team and tremendous weapons, and they're hard to defend.
Coach Williams, as good a coach as you are, man, you can't get out there on that football field and tackle people and throw the football and run it. Tell us about some of those kids that make your program go.
Well, I would leave somebody out. We've got great senior leadership. You know, Ugo Amadi, it starts with him, and he's been offered by just about everybody in the country, and just a tremendous kid, great leader. We have two great tailbacks in Kimley North and let's see, and then Nick Fuqua. We also have a sophomore, Tavares Travis. Our front line is healthy again. We're senior dominated up front with our front line. It starts with John Orr and Darius Dalton, our center, and I could go on and on and on. And we have Elijah Pankey in the slot. And defensively, we're just a bunch of no-names that get after it and run to the football and play aggressively.
D'Angelo Holt's done a pretty good job.
I left him out. Thank you, Maurice. I told you I was going to leave somebody out. Great athlete, tremendous defensive end. He has 19 sacks right now, 7 sacks for losses. You know, people have quit running at him. He's such a good athlete. And thank you for remembering that, because I forgot him.
Hey, Players Prep got word that, I guess, the 100th person through these turnstile right here gets that red truck, right?
I think so.
The Bobcat truck?
Yeah, we'll get the keys for you.
No? Well, put it this way, if that's not the one you want, then stop by Global Motorsport, because they've got that vehicle, I'm sure, in stock in many more of different colors, too. So, hey, that's going to do it for another edition here. This has been Coach Steve Williams from the Overton Bobcats. They got a big game coming up against McGavock, familiar opponent, but yet and still, like we talked about, the history of the program should make this a great one. I'm B-Hop, that's Mo P. We'll be right back with our closing thoughts. Hey, and we are back. The place is Global Motorsport. We hear us talking about it all the time on the show. Well, what better way to conclude another great episode than doing it from the showroom with Maurice's car right in the back. Yeah. Anyway, last week we talked about Innsworth BA as being one of the games that people needed to get out and see. I was at that game. You were at that game. I saw you on the sidelines. You were making fun of my hat.
I saw you in the stands.
You were making fun of my hat. That's cool. I was nice and toasty. But tell us about the ball game, where you saw it from. I mean, I saw the Innsworth pull away late, but it was a good game up until that point.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the way Innsworth went down on the first drive, 2 plays, and they're in the end zone, and you thought it was going to be one of the track meets that you've seen in Division II AA all year.
Right.
Really settled in. What was it, 7-7 at the half, 10-10 at the end of the third, and then Innsworth pulls away late. Like you said, got a couple big plays from Darius Moorhead and P.J. Settles and put it away 31-17. But again, as we were saying going into that game, you get the feeling that that's not the last time those two are going to see each other.
Absolutely not. It seems like every single year the BA Innsworth matchup is something that in November people are going to want to want to watch. And guess what? I'm sure that at some point in time, the way these teams were playing and the way that they ended their seasons, they'll probably see each other again. But there are some other tilts. We got done talking about McGavock, Overton, of course, the features on today's show. But what about some other games, Mo? Franklin and Centennial.
Franklin and Centennial, second time in as many weeks. Franklin wins at 37-34. Last week, one of the better games of the week, went back and forth a lot. Franklin went ahead late. And when you play 2 times in 2 weeks, you know, Brian Rector and the Centennial staff is going to have a lot to coach off of. You would think that revenge factor is there. They've certainly got their attention going back over to Franklin for this one. So that'll definitely be a game to watch this week, I think.
It's really not about the X's and O's with that one. It's about the Jimmies and Joes, because what can they do differently than they did 7-8 days ago? It's really about the effort, I would say.
It's the effort, it's the intensity, and it's the focus. Like you said, I don't think it is about schematics as much as it is who gets higher and stays focused for this one.
Independence, Hendersonville. What do you think about that, too?
A really interesting matchup, I think, because Independence likes to throw it all over the place. Andrew Bunch, the junior quarterback for them, has had a fantastic season. I think he's up around 2,300 yards, and they're going to put it in the air a bunch, maybe 40 times. If Hendersonville throws it 10 times, that's about 5 too many, probably. So it'll be a fun game. It'll be an old school game on one side of the field and arena ball on the other side. So it's going to be a really interesting matchup, I think.
Well, you're going to have to tune in next week to find out exactly who wins the Overton-McGavock matchup. We'll have that recap. But before we do that, we always acknowledge the guys that put the wind in our sails. And how about this? Larry Thorne, the guy that you've seen shadow in our program all day, he himself was a standout in high school. Matter of fact, he went on to play in college, too, Jacksonville State. Welcome into the show, Larry. You know, we had a brief word with you in the very beginning, just about, you know, not only your involvement, but just really want to get into you. Why is high school sports, do you think, such an important piece of I guess you could say, sports and what we're doing nowadays?
At the end of the day, as a player, you go back to, you never forget what it was like on Friday night when you step out, especially come playoff season like right now, okay? You go through your pregame, you get that sweat on, and you get ready, and it's on. And it's win or go to the house. Right?
That's exactly it.
And it's exciting. It's the Jimmies and the Joes, as you referenced. It's the mamas and the papas and the girlfriends in the stands. And it's what matters. You know, as a sponsor of what you guys are doing, we're excited to see it evolve and to listen to the coaches earlier today. You see everybody, the intensity level really cranks up, you know. And we love local sports. As a parent, you know, some of our folks here at Global are parents of kids and local sports, and it's what it's all about. It's the Saturday morning paper. What happened on Friday night, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's like every kid in metro area waking up to see what the stats are, see if their name's in the paper or on some sort of .com somewhere. You're right about that.
How many tackles? How many scores? And what happened with your friend from church's son?
Exactly.
It brings on a whole different meaning in the community. High school sports is where it's at, and I loved it. And you know, when you line up out there and you get ready to bust through that paper, you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
It's on, and it's just
you just hope the cheerleaders are on the other side.
Nobody gets hurt.
Yeah. Sometimes that happens. Well, for Maurice, we want to thank you very much for being a participant in this, and we feel that high school sports is probably one of the most purest form of sports.
It is
without any taintedness and pretension. It's just young athletes going out there and doing the best job that they possibly can, and we want to thank you for being a part of that.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
That's going to do it for Maurice Patton. I am Brad Hopkins. That was Larry Thorne, part of Global Motorsport. Go to globalmotorsportinc.com. Find out all the information that you need to find out to make your next vehicle purchase, because as you can see, they do not play around when it comes to cars. Whether it's an SUV, sports car, luxury, sedan, you name it, they've got it. They've even got old schools for guys like me and Mo. So come on down and see them. They'll be here to help you out. That's going to do it for us. We'll see you next week right here on Players Prep. Take care, guys.
Talkopolis, the social media TV network for your city.